Okay, great. Thank you. We will now begin the meeting. I don't know if you started the.
Recording in progress.
All right, now that all the council members are present, we will commence the City of West Sacramento special meeting of the West Sacramento City Council and West Sacramento Redevelopment Successor Agency and West Sacramento Financing Authority for the June 15th, 2022 meeting. And we would like to acknowledge that the land on which we live, work, learn, and commune is the original homelands of the indigenous people of West Sacramento who have stewarded the land throughout the generations. We acknowledge and we thank the original inhabitants who have occupied, maintained, and secured this place and who still exist on this land. We respect and celebrate the many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this land on which we gather. Next, we will proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by members of our LGBTQ community, and it will be Mr. Scott Hill, Mr. Danny Thurical, Mr. Don Stoffer, and I think there's one more person. Mr. Scott Hill, do you have one person on the side there with you?
Yes, my partner, Jesus Carranza.
Mr. Jesus Carranza, thank you. All right, can you please all join and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. June is Pride Month, and West Sacramento is so proud of our LGBT community members. We welcome you, we embrace you. We're so grateful that you're here with us, leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. And we will have a resolution. I hope you can stick around so that you can receive that. We'll bring that up in the consent agenda. I'll pull the item. But first, we will have the Madam Clerk please read the instructions for today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Council meeting will be conducted via teleconference pursuant to Government Code Section 54953E. The City Council adopted Resolution 2256 on May 18th, 2022, confirming that a statewide state of emergency continues to exist because of COVID-19 virus pandemic, and that the Yolo County Public Health Officer continues to recommend measures to promote social distancing. Members of the public are asked to watch the meeting via live stream on the city's website or via Wave Cable Channel 20. Public comment may be provided using Zoom or through email by emailing the comment to clerk@cityofwestsacramento.org. Public comments sent via email before 5:30 p.m. have been provided to the City Council, and they're also posted on the city's website. Public comment given on Zoom is limited to 3 minutes and can only be made on matters within the City of West Sacramento's jurisdiction. The council cannot take action or deliberate on items that are not on the agenda unless there is an emergency and the need to take action arose after the agenda was posted. When it is time, and if you would like to provide a comment, please raise your hand. Please press the raise hand button or press *9 on your telephone. Speakers will be called on in the order that their hands are raised. Please leave your hand raised until you've finished making your comment. When your name is called, the clerk will unmute you and will notify you when your time is up. Just as a reminder, starting on July 20th, 2022, City Council meetings will be held in person at West Sacramento's City Hall. Public comment on July 20th and moving forward may be provided in person or by email. Instructions on providing public comment via email are on the city website. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on the agenda is item 1, which are presentations by the public on matters not included on the agenda. Each speaker has 3 minutes, and the clerk will notify you when your time is up, and council members are prohibited from discussion on any matter presented under this item. Madam Clerk, do we have anything in writing or live public comment requests?
Public comment was emailed to the City Council and is posted on the city website if it was provided via email. If you'd like to make a public comment on a non-agenda item at this time, please raise your hand. Our first speaker is Tracy Levan. One moment, please. Ms. Levan is not using a current Zoom application. So I'm going to promote her to panelist momentarily so she may provide her comment.
Okay, thank you.
Tracy, if you can accept the invitation. Tracy, you should be able to unmute yourself and provide your comment at this time. I'm going to go to the next speaker and we'll try again. Graham Ryland, you may provide your comment at this time.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am returning today to ask for the City Council to support and encouraging our city to enforce visual, noise, vibration, and pollution standards that were agreed to by the businesses that are doing business here in Southport. Our community needs protection of our peaceful enjoyment of our properties, and especially from noise, but also from many other issues that are pretty difficult. So I want to first kind of kick things off by saying thank you to Councilmember Early. She reached out after the last meeting and scheduled to meet with us in person. That's really encouraging. There's a lot to discuss. There's trash in the nature area in the pond next to Amazon. There's constant noise emanating from Cormark that's breaking sound performance standards described in PD 21, and the constant vibration. These large vehicles traveling at such close proximity to private property is physically vibrating our home. And we've recorded that and shared it with the council. And so we have, since the last time reaching out, we have had contact with the city planning division, and just want to say an update there and appreciation of that. We, however, our goal is to find a solution that's long lasting, not simply to tamp it down for a short time, but a solution that is propagating through the years and holding the businesses to their expected noise and pollution standards for our area. And again, with that, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share.
Our next speaker is Lori Staffler.
Hi, good evening. This is Lori Staffler. Thank you for letting me join the City Council meeting. I'd like to reiterate what Graham was just speaking about. We do appreciate the efforts that have been addressed here over in our area of West Sacramento, but as Graham indicated, we still have a long way to go. I've lived in West Sacramento for 30 years and raised my children here. And we moved over to the Bridgeway Island area about 6 years ago. And since then, we've had quite a bit of construction out here, which we all know that was going to happen. But we were also counting on our city to make sure that these contractors out here, these builders, followed the PD 21, which would have eased a lot of our pain and suffering to the point where most of us have thought about buying our home. And I hate to do that because I love my home and I love my neighborhood, but I don't love what's going on across the pond. We do have a lot of garbage. I know there's been comments about, well, we've come out there and looked and seen garbage. I have to tell you, these neighbors, including myself, are out there all the time digging garbage out of the pond. We go around the pond and clean it up. We can't stand to see it there, so we pick it up. The wall that's not here from the green that was supposed to be planted, we've seen the building groomers, gardeners cut the trees back down the bushes. Those are supposed to be our vegetation vines. The vines are dead also. So we request that additional trees be put in, as well as the sound wall, which would then keep us seeing all of the vehicles that are over there, lots of traffic over there, lots of sound from those. As well as in my note that I posted today, car washing. We've noticed that Amazon and several other businesses are using the side lot over here to wash their vehicles. I can't imagine that that's allowed, considering what it's doing to the waterway. And then my other huge complaint is the color of that Amazon building. That's not appealing to the eye. No matter what window I look out of my house towards the pond, I see that color, and I'm not the only one on this pond. And then the lights on that Amazon building keep me up at night. I've even tried to duct tape my curtains to the wall to shield the light from coming through my window, and that's not a way to live. And I have no other way to move my bed. And I'm sure I'm not the only one on this pond that has that issue. So I do appreciate your time, and I do ask that you take further note of our anguish over here and help us come to a resolution so we don't all leave and move out of town because of that. We love West Sacramento, and like I said, we've been here 30 years, and we're not looking to leave, but we're getting desperate here. So we do really appreciate any assistance you can provide for us. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Tracy Levan, has joined us again. I'm going to see if I can unmute her. Tracy, would you like to provide your comment?
Yes, I would, please.
Whenever you're ready, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for your time to hear my questions regarding the requirement of 50% pervious landscape. My wife and I bought our home in West Sac in February of 2021, and despite our best efforts, our front landscape of hedges and lawn were difficult to maintain. Our front yard space became hazardous as a result of the city's wild and unmaintained lot next to our property. We battled cattails, thorny thistleweeds, poison oak, snakes, foliage, nuts, pollen, tree droppings, all from city property. If we didn't maintain and weed whack the fire, the distance between the trees and us, we wouldn't even have a distance of fire protection. Without venturing onto city property, because my wife did that maintenance, I've contracted poison oak 3 different times. We also need wheelchair and walker access to use and maintain our property. My grandma, who lives with us, uses a cane, walker, and transport chair. Last spring, we hired a licensed contractor to replace the problematic and water-dependent hedges and lawn with concrete. We were adamant to pull all, permits for all of our outdoor projects with this contractor. And he did not ask us about front yard city regulations, nor did he advise us to inquire with the city about front yard requirements. While we were insistent about pulling proper permits, we were not aware of the city code, limiting the amount of impervious hardscape in front yard. Code enforcement has informed us that we are now out of the 50% pervious landscape requirement. We have made attempts to present solutions to the city staff and have not received clear responses about what we can and can't do to achieve compliance. The guidance of continue to submit us solutions and we'll tell you yes or no is not an effective practice, and we are not getting the answers we need. We're requesting clarification in order to achieve compliance with consideration to our need for requiring wheelchair and walker access to use and maintain our property. So here are my questions. What is the city trying to achieve and avoid by enforcing the 50% pervious requirement? What is the actual city vision and goal? What is and what is not an acceptable solution? Is there a specific rate of absorption or other consistent calculation or measurable factor that the city staff use to approve pervious surfaces? Is there a combination of impervious surface with drains or water collection that is acceptable? Is there an accessibility exception or exemption for wheelchair access if water runoff is still properly addressed?
Sorry, that's 3 minutes.
Thank you for your time and consideration of our questions.
Our next speaker is Rhonda Pope Flores.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will just plan on doing this every city council meeting, that I oppose the map that was chosen that divides Broderick and Bright. I also want to direct city council to the Broderick and Bright Neighborhood Association page. It is growing. It has over 200 members, and these are all individuals that have joined the same voice with the division of Broderick and Bright. I will voice this every city council meeting. I know that there were some riverfront property development, and one of the concerns that I have on the old Broderick side is developers coming in and uprooting people that have been living there for all their lives. And I really hope and pray that you protect the individuals that have lived in Bright and Broderick, and not let these developers come, because there's this riverfront vision that people seem to have, and protect the people that have been here for all their life. And I just thank you for this opportunity.
Our next speaker is Skylar Blaylock.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity. I will be mimicking a couple of the earlier speakers in regards to the industrial development in the South Park Parkway area. My specific involvement is in relation to Lot 25 and its ongoing construction and design. Just to bolster their concerns, I do feel the vibrations. I deal with the noise. The noise we're referring to is existing buildings which are much further away than the Lot 25 building being put in place. And they're already, those themselves are breaking the PD21 sound ordinance. And in addition to that, several complaints have been made regarding that breaking of the ordinance that don't seem to be changing the behavior. And the concern going forward is the obvious equal or larger building that's closer, with potential for more trucks to be there can't plausibly be quieter than the one that's further away from the residential businesses. In addition to that, it borders very closer than the residences with children's play parks, basketball courts, and general athletic fields. So the pollution issue is not necessarily a general pollution issue so much as an acute pollution issue to young children. I applaud Councilmember Early. I am part of the string we will be meeting with next week. I thank you very much for your time, as well as your endeavor to go learn from the city planner's office in advance, so we can have a constructive conversation going forward. I too am looking for the same outcome as Graham in regards to a compromised best outcome for the peaceful living for this area, while still supporting the continued development of business. Thank you. I surrender the remainder of my time.
Our next speaker is Alfred Melbourne. Mr. Melbourne?
Greetings, good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Alfred Melbourne, and I am a member of the Broderick and Bright Neighborhood Association. And I would like to echo Rhonda Morningstar Pope's concern. It's been with much displeasure that we have had to witness City Council rip apart our historic community, and it has placed an undue burden upon myself and who I would call a special class community of interest in Broderick and Bright. It was good enough to keep us together when they enforced a gang injunction upon our community, putting a safety net around us, lumping us up as one. And now City Council itself, well, 3 members, Chris Ledesma, Karina Orozco, and Dante West, have decided to vote to break our city apart. And due to the fact that I am a Native American, I like to say specifically that I hear these acknowledgments of our people, and I see nothing but words and no actions in protecting a special class that have been here since time immemorial. The undue burden placed on myself is I have zero resources to hire an attorney and continue to fight what has been done to us in our community by these 3 city council members, having no regard for the voice of a population of people that has been underserved and left behind. Again, I reiterate, it was good enough to lump us together when there was a gang injunction calling us one, but now it is not when we're asking to be kept together so that we can maintain one voice to represent ourselves. Further burdening us with having to mobilize campaigns and organize when we barely have enough time to try to make enough money for us to survive, to put food in our mouth, to eat and take care of one another. The total lack of respect and regard for many long-term generational residents and Project and Bright. I hope that these 3 city council members are still held responsible and liable legally, civilly, in any way possible when it comes to breaking up a historic community of interest. I ask that these 3 city council members think about what they did as they continue to navigate these communities and push their agendas upon us, that we are a community of interest and we don't have the resources to play these games that you guys are so well familiar with as you come out here and pander to us and try to seek our support. But once you're done with us, you move on to bigger and better things that we're no longer needed in your picture. So I would just like to point that out. Certain individuals that at once upon a time
Sorry,
thought they
that's
needed that.
3 minutes.
Thank you so much for hearing me, Madam Mayor, City Council. We'll continue to see each other.
Our next speaker is Scott Rafferty.
Thank you. I just wanted to offer a couple perspectives on the 3.5-year struggle to have the city comply with the California Voting Rights Act. Because in terms of the chronic underrepresentation of 48% of the city that lives north of Route 50, it is one of the most extreme violations in the state of California. And the sad thing is the degree to which your city attorney has escalated this by being essentially untrustworthy. We had an agreement that I was going to present slides. I wasn't allowed to present them myself. They had to be pre-cleared through the clerk and put on screen. And Mr. Laurel abrogated that agreement, I believe without consulting the mayor, who is in charge of conducting the council meetings. That's in the municipal code. Now, I know that there are 3 votes to keep the city attorney no matter what, and he's an outside contractor. But the city manager has sworn an oath, and he violated that oath when Mayor Guerrero asked him if it was possible to project those slides and let the people see our argument, just see our argument. And I've asked and obtained your administrative manual. You don't have Mr. Mitchell claims you have a parliamentary authority, but he can't find it. There's no excuse for that. And it's escalated everything. I don't know what the court will do tomorrow. I don't know what the map will be. The map is worse than being at large. It guarantees that this fall, 2 people will be reelected, probably without opposition, simply because of the delay. And it does nothing. It doesn't give a single member to the north. It's a horrible gerrymander. And, you know, I've seen a lot of things in these proceedings. They're not always easy, but I've never seen such concealment from the public. And I have never seen an attorney disrupt, who is a member of a city council, disrupt the meeting to the point where it was necessary to take a break. So be more honest with your constituents. And I have to send a clear message to Mr. Laurel and Mr. Jeff Mitchell. It didn't have to be this way. You escalated everything by being untrustworthy and by preventing the plaintiffs from telling their story and at least having a fair hearing. And I know Ms. Orozco has been on her.
Sorry, that's 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. And I wish it had gone better. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Edna Bohannon.
Hi, my name is Edna Bohannon, and thank you for this opportunity. I live across from the Amazon warehouses, and I've been involved since 2019 trying to protect the pond and trying to protect the value of the homes in across from the pond, and now those across from the warehouses that face Southport. I am here tonight to support Graham's comment, Skylar's comment, and Lori's comment. I would like to add my own comment. I did a small study when I was taking a class at the California Academy of Sciences during the pandemic about the decrease in the number of blue-winged teal and cinnamon teal, which this pond has been known for all across the United States. And there has been a decrease in the number of those waterfowl since the building was put in and the lights were put in. I would ask that more of these lights be hooded. These lights come across, like Lori said, they do affect our sleeping, but it also does affect the migration of the waterfowl as they come through the Pacific Flyway. I'm really concerned about the front of the warehouse that faces Southport. The trash, I counted over 16 cans or trash bins last weekend. Some were closed, you couldn't see trash, some were still open. But my understanding of the code, the enforcement code, and my understanding of PD 21 is that those are not supposed to be visible to the public as we drive by. They are so public, it is so ugly, and it decreases the value of the property of all the homes around the warehouses. I am stunned that there is screening on all up and down Southport, except for this one area in front of those Amazon warehouses. You can see the ugliness of the trailers when they're backed up. You can see the ugliness of the trash, and it is going into the pond. It is harming the wildlife, and I'd like to see that addressed, that problem can meet the standards as outlined by PD 21 and by code enforcement. I am also very concerned about what the warehouses are doing over that come up against the park. I never say the word right, I apologize. Hadwin Park. I do believe the noise factor is bad for the sleep patterns of all people involved. I believe that we all know that when people don't get enough sleep, their bodies react. They're more apt to
Sorry,
get
that's
sick.
3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity. Bye-bye.
Our next speaker is Maria Grijalba.
Good evening, Mayor and council members and the voters of West Sacramento and residents of West Sacramento. I am sorry to see our city in such a sorry state right now. We have a map in front of us that is obviously racist. We have a city council member, Ledesma, Orozco, and Early that are acting in racist manners. I actually gave the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. It talks about making anti-racist policies to all of you. And I don't know if any of you have opened it. And but what's happening is what Dr. Robin DiAngelo calls white fragility among the three of you. You're protecting white interests and white white policies, and you're being racist, including Dr. Early. And when you were running, Dr. Early, one of the terms that I was used was when a person of color anthropologically adopts the values of the dominant culture and purports their culture to the demise of your own culture. It's precisely what you're doing now. And there was a derogatory term that is commonly used that I'm no longer able to use, that I used on Facebook. And but for Latinos, Ledesma, I don't mind using the word. Some people use the term, I hate to say it, it's coconut, but that's the term I've heard used. But anyway, that's what's happening right now. The California Voting Rights Act is all about people of color and Voting Rights Act and voting rights and racism. It's just, that's the bottom line. And Ledesma, Orozco, and Early are making sure the status quo and white privilege stays in place. And so tomorrow, I hope everybody comes to court. Everybody's welcome to attend. It's a public forum. And I thank you for this opportunity to speak. And I hope you become anti-racist.
Our next speaker is Becky Olson.
Sorry, I was muted. I just wanted to call in. I appreciate all the hard work our entire city council's doing in all aspects of our city. There's a lot of stuff going on. As always, there's always something to do. But I have to call in because I personally, as a lifelong resident, am offended by the previous caller. I don't know why someone is allowed to publicly harass, even though it's Facebook. I know you're not in charge of Facebook, and say these horrible things about people in racist terminology, and yet you allow her to speak at a city council meeting. I'm offended. Sorry. I'd like to know why you cut people off who use foul language and let people who just say whatever they want, true or not, to speak. I don't think that's fair. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Danny Theracal. Mr. Theracal, I know that you are on the panel right now, but if you could unmute yourself and give your comment, but leave your camera turned off, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely, no problem. I was gonna keep it off anyways. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to mention a few points. Of course, it's no secret I'm in favor of keeping Broderick and Bright together, so I want to first get that out of the way because it's important that that keeps that message stays clear with this council and people who are watching at home. It is really important that we keep this community together. Along with that, I wanted to continue with saying, you know, Broderick still needs a pool. It is getting hot these days. I know many of you probably felt it on Saturday. You know, 100-degree weather. It's not nice at all. I don't like the sun at all. And even though we have via service to help get people to the recreation center for the pool for free, you know, it still takes there's still a cost associated with using that free service, right? There's still a transportation cost. having to download that app, having to do these things that maybe a lot of people don't have right now. I don't know how many people actually even know about VIA in the area that they're able to get the free service, so it's important that we keep getting that message out to people and doing outreach so that people know that the service is available and free for them to use. I wanted to just quickly talk about a post that I just saw recently by the West Sacramento Police Department. They have installed an all-way stop at the intersection of Cummins Way and 6th Street. Many people have liked that something has been done about the ongoing traffic violations in that area, the speeding and property damage that continues to happen year to year. And this always stop is kind of a proposed solution to stop those things from happening. However, there are still residents in the area that do not feel that this always stop is adequate enough. Speeding was the issue, and they don't believe that stop signs are going to stop that one bit. They are still asking for speed bumps and or a roundabout. I personally don't know what solution is best in this situation. Giving the stop signs a try, it, of course, won't hurt, but it might hurt, right? Because an accident could happen. And it would just prove that the stop signs did not help at all in that situation. So this is something that needs to be continuously watched by city staff and this council. More action may need to be done in order to provide a remedy in this area. And that is it. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, everybody has had their 3 minutes to provide comment.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And just to remind the public that presentations by the public on matters not included in the agenda, which each speaker was given 3 minutes. Council members are prohibited from discussion on any of the matter under this item. So just wanted to point that out for the members of the public. And Madam Clerk, you're pretty much in control of containing as well. If you can assist in that matter, derogatory remarks, that would be helpful. We have next under presentations, agenda item 2 under the city manager's office. We were going to receive a presentation regarding the Sacramento Yolo Mosquito and Vector Control District on current issues and challenges related to mosquito control. This item will be taken up at our next meeting. We don't have our presenter tonight. However, it is an item on the agenda, and I wanted to open it up for public comment. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak under this item?
If anybody would like to provide public comment on this item, please raise your hand at this time. We have one hand raised. Ms. Grijalba?
I would just like to thank the Vector Control for the little fish that they bring to my pond that prevent the mosquitoes from growing. Thank you.
We have no additional hands raised.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next is our consent agenda item 3 through 14, and I will pull items 3 and 14. Are there any other requests to remove an item for questions or presentations by our administration? No? Okay, I'll start with number 3, going in order of sequence. I just wanted to thank the city staff for all the work in preparing this agenda item. We receive a lot of concerns and complaints about our road, and it takes a lot of work to make sure that we gather all the data and collect the revenue that is needed to repair our roads. One area that I see here that has been worked on is the State Streets pavement rehab. That's an area that I've heard a lot of concerns, and I know it's included here for expenditure, and I'm really glad to see that we're going to continue the work, including the port area, infrastructure and complete streets project, formerly known as the Southport Parkway pavement rehab project, and Industrial Boulevard and Harbor Boulevard pavement and rehab project. I know it's going to come, and looking forward to seeing the work that gets done on these roads. A lot of potholes in that area. We do a lot of patchwork, but sometimes it takes some more deeper grading and repairing in order to prevent these potholes from resurfacing once again, like after maybe a week. We have to continually fix them up, and that costs more money than trying to do what we're doing now, is just doing a complete rehab. So thank you to the staff. I just wanted to acknowledge you for that. And next is item 14. We have some recipients, presentation of our proclamation recognizing June 2022 as Pride Month. And first of all, I'd like to thank the city for hoisting the flag that Mr. Hill provided last year. And we're really proud, the city of West Sacramento. Our resolution includes, whereas the city of West Sacramento and LGBTQIA+ community members support the rights of every citizen to experience equality and freedom from discrimination. And whereas all people, regardless of age, gender, identity, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, and physical challenges, have the right to be treated on the basis of their intrinsic value as human beings. And whereas the city of West Sacramento accepts and welcomes people of diverse backgrounds and believes a diverse population leads to a more vibrant community. And whereas the long and ongoing struggle, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, and other sexual and gender minority communities for basic civil and human rights continues to provide inspiration for all those who work against discrimination and oppression. And whereas the city of West Sacramento envisions a world where every member of the LGBTQIA family has the freedom to live their truth without fear and with equality under the law. And whereas while we have a society at large are slowly embracing new definitions of sexuality and gender, we must acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And whereas to acknowledge the efforts to bring awareness to the continuing evolution to the gay pride movement, the city of West Sacramento will display the rainbow flag representing light, healing, sun, calmness, heart, spirit in front of City Hall for the month of June. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the city of West Sacramento City Council that June 2022 be designated as Pride Month in the city of West Sacramento, and that our residents be encouraged to reflect on the ongoing struggle for equality. Members of the LGBTQ community face and celebrate their contributions that enhance our city. And just want to thank you, Mr. Hill, and Danny Thurical, Don Stoffer, and Jesus for being here today and saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and asking for you to say a few words, and then I'll open it up to my fellow council members to also say a few words.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll begin. As a pastor of the Metropolitan Community Churches, as a Sacramento Stonewall Democrat executive board member, and a resident of West Sacramento, I am proud of this resolution that supports inclusion. As a person of this community who has been rejected by others and chased by persons with ball bat for being who I am, this resolution makes West Sacramento feel like a safe place to live. I go to City Hall every week for my COVID test and was so proud to see the rainbow flag flying in front of the building at the beginning of the month. I thank the council mayor for giving me and all the LGBTQ+ community that reassurance of inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thurical, do you have anything else to
Hi, everybody. There's just so many things you can obviously say, right? But I think the only thing that has been kind of going through my mind lately is, we have these resolutions that we pass every year, right? And sometimes they can seem a bit procedural, but they are so important to keep doing, right? It's the same reason why we recognize Native American in the land that we currently preside over, right? They are a constant reminder that life is not the same for everybody. As Scott Hill has testified already too, his experience as a gay man is very different than mine. And in my experience, even though I feel welcome a lot of the times, it's still very scary in public. You really just never know, right? And in times of political division in our little city and nationwide, you just don't know. And you kind of feel reserved a little bit, but my heart and my feelings are always revived around this time of month because it just feels so welcoming it feels inclusive, and it just feels right. So thank you to this council for doing this resolution once again. And special thanks to Norma Alcala because I was able to attend the SAC Pride March on Sunday, and I had no intentions of going, but she had called me up and told me about it and told me I should come down there. And I was like, you know what, I'll do it. Totally do it. You know, I don't like the heat, but I will totally do it. So thank you.
Thank you. And I don't see any other requests to speak by the public, Madam Clerk. I'll bring it back to council for any comments. Councilmember Early.
I will be brief. I also got to attend the Pride Parade in Sacramento. I'm hopeful that one day we'll actually integrate the Pride Parade with West Sacramento as well. I think that would be amazing. And for me, it was just such a wonderful experience to be surrounded by love, acceptance, inclusion, and have the whole community coming out in Sacramento, lining the streets in support of just recognizing that love is love. And so I also think not only these resolutions, but also just recognizing these months and understanding, as Danny said, that we're not all treated the same, and we all walk through this world with different experiences, and recognizing that and continuing to move these issues forward is hugely important in order to get to a point where we really have true equity and we're all treated the same. So thank you for this.
Thank you. Councilmember Roscoe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've always looked forward to receiving this proclamation with the city each June, mainly because to be yourself is truly a revolutionary act, and each of us, as Mr. Therical mentioned and Mr. Hill mentioned, you know, owning our story and loving ourselves through the process is probably one of the bravest things we could ever do as individuals. And so, you know, tonight, while I'm zooming into this meeting from out of the country, I couldn't be home locally to celebrate Pride personally. I will say to Councilmember Early's point, I agree, but WSAC has been a presence in the past at Pride. I remember a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic, I, along with a few West Sacramentans, specifically Christopher Cabalden and Verno Sulpizio, Bernadette Austin Bauer, and Francisco Castillo. We were the Grand Marshal for Pride as allies, supporters, and representatives of the community in different capacities. But I will say that our society needs to recognize the unstoppable momentum toward unequivocal civil equality for every gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender citizen of our country, and recognize the impact that LGBTQI individuals have had nationally, statewide, and locally, even in our city. For example, you know, WSAC, you know, in 2016, when Mayor Christopher Cabalden came out publicly at the State of the City address, it not only it shocked the conscience of a lot of folks in WSAC, in our little city, but it also opened the hearts and the minds of so many who, until that time, might not have considered themselves potential allies. And as we together as a council encourage greater acceptance and support for all youth, including those who are perceived or questioning whether or not they are LGBTQ, this will allow West Sacramento and its schools and its institutions to be just safer and better places for everyone. But I will say that, you know, having a mayor for so long who pushed forth so many sweeping legislation, gay rights, civil rights resolutions of any national elected official at the local level, I will say that we have come a long way in putting ourselves on the map as a little city. And I commend my colleagues for continuing in that effort together and moving forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Alcala.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to begin by saying thank you to Scott, Danny, and Don for your contributions here in West Sacramento. I marched with Danny and with many others. I called my niece, Sarah, and she was going to be at that march with her wife, Gio, but they got COVID. So I marched in their honor. I also wanted to mention so many other illustrious members of the LGBTQ community who in the past made such incredible contributions to the world, such as Alexander. Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mayor?
We can hear you better now.
Okay. Michael Angelo, Sally Ride, Harvey Milk. Oh, can you not hear me, Mayor? I'm sorry.
We can hear you when you turn on your screen.
And Oscar Wilde.
The bandwidth. So if you turn off.
So I turn off the screen? Let me turn off the screen.
Yeah.
So let me begin again. I wanted to thank Scott, Danny, and Dawn for your contributions to West Sacramento. Thank you so much. And Danny, it was wonderful marching with you. My niece, Sarah, and her wife, Gio, were going to be at the march, but they got COVID. But I marched in their honor. And I also wanted in the LGBTQ community throughout history who have made such incredible contributions to the world, such as Alexander the Great, Leonardo da Vinci, Michael Angelo, Sally Ride, Harvey Milk, James Baldwin, Oscar Wilde, and so many others. Thank you. Thank you very much for being part of our lives. And I want to say, Danny, you're like a son to me. So Danny and I also work together. You bring so much to our lives, Danny. Thank you.
Councilmember Ledesma.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening, everyone. And first of all, thank you to the city and those who attended tonight to accept the proclamation from the city. I am reminded of the words about these resolutions come monthly, whether it's for Mental Health Month, whether it's for LGBTQ Pride resolutions, or every month we have these. And I'm reminded of the fact that, especially on this one is close to me, as we all have family members, we have friends, we have those we've served with on this council who have braved things that we have not. We have not walked in Danny, your shoes, Scott, your shoes, Erica Baldwin, his shoes, and many others that have enlisted. We haven't. This resolution to me is meaningful because it is. Hopefully, I'm seeing the nods of the heads and the way we're going. This will be a unanimous resolution by this council resolving to support your community and you. It wasn't too long ago. I recall vividly Erica Baldwin's remarks of what spurred him to come out, which was those in our community young teenagers who were being harassed at school. And it was his resolution, his personal choice to come out publicly to show that. I'm reminded that it was just 2008 that this state passed Prop 8, banning same-sex marriage. These things aren't too far off for us. And this resolution should be meaningful to the community, should be meaningful to each of us, because we're resolving as a city, we support this community, these people, our neighbors, our friends, our family. And that to me is what's most meaningful. They are not hollow words. These are votes. These are things that we care about. These are people we care about. And for me personally, this is about us having your back. And that's what this means to me. Because let's make no mistake, there are threats today to the rights and to your ability to live the American dream and the American life. There are those in our community and at the national level who are, once again, using language of hatred towards those in the LGBT community. So I'm reminded today that while this is all great, I missed the Pride Parade for the first time in a while as well. I'm glad I did, only because of the heat, but I've been a staunch supporter of this, and we need to continue to be even more so. This is, I'm again reminded that not too far off did we feel these, but they're not past us. There are threats ahead of us, and we need, as a community, to come together and be resolved to support this group and have their back. So happy Pride Day. I'm not trying to bring down the party, because it is. Pride is about celebrating inclusivity and celebrating the LGBTQ community, which I wholeheartedly do. And but it's also a stark reminder to us of the work we still have to do. So thank you all for being here today, and happy Pride to all my friends in the community.
Thank you, Councilmember Ledesma. And I just want to, I just share my appreciation for my fellow council members here, and for the representatives receiving today's proclamation. You are very brave, courageous, and bold. Being present and elevating to our attention why we need to continue to strive to do more as your representatives, why it's important for us to be engaged in understanding some of the challenges and embracing you as a member of our community, equal to all people, to feel loved, and to be proud. We have employees in our city who are members of the LGBT community, and I hope that when they walk into City Hall, that they see the pride flag and are feeling embraced and well received. That there's no difference, and so being able to have same-sex marriage and being able to be publicly attending weddings, embracing our family members and trying to encourage them to be more public so that they can feel accepted and embrace who they truly are, I think has been very important. And I was really proud, to march with the Grand Marshal, Evan Minton and Emily Harper, who have braced for the worst these last 2 years, sharing, in congressional hearings, listening to them as they share in a legislative hearing today, how to overcome gender identity in college, applications and college forms. And so just seeing that the legislature is doing what they can to continue to make some accommodations and changes. There's so much more we have to do. And I just want to say I'm standing here with you to help you to achieve that. So thank you so much for being present with us, and just applaud you for all you've done. Thank you. And with that, next we'll move to our regular agenda item, which is item number 17. If there's no objection among the council members, I'm sorry, we do have to take a motion to approve the consent agenda, and I will ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so Councilmember Early moved and Councilmember Alcala second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Early. Aye. Councilmember Alcala.
Aye.
Councilmember Ledesma.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Orozco.
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero.
Aye. All right, this item is unanimously, all of them are approved. Next, we'll go to our regular agenda item. I'm always so focused on these changes that we have to make here. We're going to move it up. If there's no objection from the council members, we're going to move up item number 17. We have a council member who needs to transition out in about a minute. So city manager is consideration of the resolution under this office of city manager, consideration of resolution 22-85, calling the election and requesting the Yolo County Board of Supervisors to permit the county clerk of Yolo County to render specified services to the city relating to the conduct of a special election to be held in the city on November 8th, 2022 in consolidation with the general election. Mr. Robinson, Deputy City Manager, please provide a brief presentation so we can take this up.
Thank you. For the past several months, the city has been actively engaged in the process of transitioning from at-large to district-based election. Following a series of public meetings and community workshops, at your meeting of May 18th, the council adopted a resolution formally selecting a district map and conducted a first reading of Ordinance 2217 to codify the city's transition to district-based election. At your meeting of June 1st, the council conducted the second reading and adoption of Ordinance 2217, and separately, The council also conducted a workshop on the issue of the term of the mayor, which is currently 2 years, but which some community members have suggested should be 4 years. The council's direction on June 1st was for the staff to return to this meeting with a resolution that would allow West Sacramento voters to determine the term of the mayor via ballot measure for the election of November 2022. The report this evening requests council consideration of Resolution 2285, which would authorize the placement of a ballot measure on the November 2022 election to put the question of the mayoral term before the voters. The resolution also authorizes the mayor to prepare the associated ballot argument. If the council wishes to proceed with the ballot measure, it can vote to approve items 1 and 2 from the recommended actions shown in your staff report. Mayoral term is one of the items of contention in the lawsuit with the Latino Information and Resource Network. To make it clear that the council intends to defer to the judge's direction in that case, the recommended action for this report includes language that automatically rescinds the council's approval of Resolution 22-85 in the event that the judge orders that the term of the mayor be changed from 2 to 4 years. If the council chooses not to proceed with a ballot measure, it can simply take no action this evening, and the mayoral term will remain at its current 2 years unless it's altered by court action. The city has been informed that the Yolo County Registrar of Voters is prepared to ask the Board of Supervisors to allow ballot measures to be submitted to the county as late as the end of July. The council could therefore decide to continue this item to the July 20th meeting based on that representation. That approach would allow more time for the council to consider this issue, but would make the city's ability to proceed with the ballot measure dependent on the county's action. That's the conclusion of my report. The city attorney and I are available to answer any questions.
All right, are there any questions among the council members? I'll put it up for public comment. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak from the public?
Anybody would like to provide comment on this item, please raise your hand at this time. Our first speaker is Maria Grijalva. Ms. Grijalva?
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. This matter should not even be up for consideration. It should not go up as a ballot matter because number one, it would be costing us money. Number two, this matter should have been settled already. It was part of the settlement, and it should have been automatically that we were going to transfer to a 4-year mayorship. And it can happen with all the council members agreeing to a resolution switching over to a 4-year mayorship. We don't need to take it to the whole citizenship, the whole to a ballot. That is a maneuver of Jeffrey Mitchell, and a reason why we need to end his contract. And so this is rubbish. This is a scheme, a maneuver, and in the worst case action, please take no action. I would amend the resolution to adopt the 4-year mayorship today. And that way tomorrow, when we're in court, we tell the judge that that issue has been settled. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
We have no additional hands raised.
Okay, thank you. I'll bring it back. I'll close the public comment, bring it back to council. Any questions? No, not. I'll accept a motion to approve this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Sean and staff for the work on this. I'll make the motion to approve the recommended action.
Seconded. Okay. Councilmember Ledesma moved. Councilmember Early seconded, I think. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Early? Aye. Councilmember Alcala?
No.
Councilmember Ledesma?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Orozco?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. All right, this item is approved 4-1. We will now go to the public hearing, the time set agenda. Item number 15 under Parks and Recreation, the public hearing and first reading of ordinance 22-18, amending chapter 12.08 of the City of West Sacramento Municipal Code to allow for regulation of special events in the city. And Ms. Erin Rivas, Manager for Parks and Rec Department, will be presenting tonight.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I am Erin Rivas. I am the Parks and Recreation Business Manager. This item includes an update to Chapter 12.08 of the Municipal Code relating to special events occurring within the city limits of West Sacramento. The chapter was last updated in 2015. But there has since been an increase in special event applications, but also an increase in the size of these events and the level of complexity, that creating a need for some administrative updates to the municipal code. The proposed updates are included in your agenda report, and although fairly minor, will help us to better administer the special events program. It's important to note that this item directly relates to the next item on your agenda, which is updating the book of fees related to special events. This concludes my presentation on this item, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions among the council members? No, I'll open it up for public comment. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
Anybody who would like to provide comment on this item, please raise your hand at this time. I see no hands raised.
All right, we'll close the public comment, bring it back to council. Are there any questions?
No questions. No, just comments. I know, Aaron, thank you for the work on this and the staff work on this. This is something I know we've been trying to get to, is trying to make sure this is in place. So thank you for all your work and the staff's work. And with that, I'll move the recommended action.
Second.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, Councilmember Ledesma moved, Councilmember Alcala second, and thank you, Ms. Rivas, for all your work on this. I know it's just a lot of work in general to do these special permits, so thank you so much for what you do. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Early. Oh, I believe she left already. Councilmember Alcala.
Aye.
Councilmember Orozco. I'm sorry, Councilmember Ledesma.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Orozco.
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero.
Aye. All right, this item is approved 4-0 with one member absent. Next is regular agenda item number 16 under Parks and Recreation. This is a public hearing and consideration of Resolution 22-54, updating the City of West Sacramento Book of Fees for special events. And Ms. Rivas, you're up again.
Good evening once again, Madam Mayor, council members. This item includes proposed updates to the City Book of Fees associated with special events. These fees have not been updated since 2017. And those updates were pretty minor. They basically were aligning the language in the Book of Fees to align with the new categories that were listed in the municipal code. With increases in both the number and complexity of these special events, there's also, since 2016, the staffing resources needed to process these special events, the needs of the special event review by staff has also increased. And over the past few years, as a part of a citywide fee analysis, staff has been working to develop and propose updates to the fees that will better reflect the actual cost of staffing to support the special event program, the applications and the permits. The proposed fee updates will help to improve cost recovery while also aligning the fees charged in neighboring jurisdictions. New to the Book of Fees is a proposed additional fee for larger ticketed events. This fee can range between $0 and $2 per person, depending on the nature of the event and the staff time needed to process the permit. The additional fee has been designed so that it can be incorporated into the event registration process, reducing any impacts to the event organizers. The additional fee is not intended to generate revenue for the city, but rather recover more of the staffing costs associated with processing the permit. Please also note that even with the proposed update, for higher fees, the city is still subsidizing the special event program. And additionally, staff has vetted the proposed update fees with some of our typical event organizers. And so far, no one has expressed any concern over the proposed fee updates. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions among council members on the amended fees? Yeah, Councilmember Alcala, go ahead.
I just have two questions. On 12.08.090 on the permit conditions, this is on the block parties. I was just wondering, so what kind of formula do you use? Because it says here, it's affected by the block party from 50% to a majority of residents. So how do you calculate that? Just wondering.
I think the language probably a little bit more generic. Tracy, if you wanted to pipe in, we had 50% listed before. I think some people were wanting to go up to 100%. And I don't think we're ever going to get 100% of the people affected by an event to agree. But I think the more generic language gave us a little bit more flexibility. I mean, 50% generally is it creates a majority. But I think we were trying to be a little bit more general.
If I can add to that, Aaron, real quick, I think we have a lot of we have a lot of block party requests in cul-de-sacs where there might just be 4 residents and you might have half the residents in favor and half not. So we just updated to majority so that at least 51% or greater.
Okay, thank you. And real quick question on 12.08.170 waiver of reduction of city support service fees. What are the support services? Can you just give me an example real quick? And then I have follow up.
The support services, things like public works, the police department, the fire department, anything needed to improve like the safety of our community or that supports the event. Could be, road closure. It could be, cleanup.
Okay, Erin, and I'm just going to ask real specific because a bunch of the folks from Holy Cross, when we hold our annual festival, they're to have not only security, but I believe they also have for police services. Are any of those services going to go down, like the police, for especially like for parish? Let's say Our Lady of Grace held one. Do those fees go down at all under this?
Generally, all those fees are like a direct charge. And Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong. They bill out their actual time. Those aren't fees that we generally waive.
Yeah, we through the budget process and per the administrative policy relating to waiving fees, the council technically needs to approve waiver of fees related to special events. So we did take an item to you as part of the biannual budget that established a sponsorship fund for a lot of the events that typically request waiving of fees. And those are a lot of organizations that do community service type work in the community, as well as athletic league parades where we need to have, either traffic control or some road closures, larger events that really promote West Sacramento and the region, like the Tower Bridge dinner. So there are a set of events where we have received council approval to waive fees. In our administrative policy, any event organizer can request the waiving of fees, but that would need to be approved by council and limited to only one event per organization per year.
Thank you. And then you're asking also for a 2-month review period. What do we have currently? Is it 1 month?
I think it can be up to 1 day. We do our best to process things when they come in, and we deliver, but it's really challenging because it means we have to prioritize getting that permit processed quickly. So we are really trying to educate the community and encourage the submittal of applications with enough advance notice that we all of the staff involved in the review process have time to process the permit adequately.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have one question related to the first question Councilmember Alcala raised, and your hand's still up, Councilmember Alcala. And it's about your neighbors having a block party. So I have like, for example, I have 5 homes in my cul-de-sac, and say 3 of us wanted to get together, and that's the that exceeds the 50% plus 1, and we just wanted to hang out. So there's a lot of, so what do you do in those situations again? Because they do get together a lot.
But I guess I know there's some criteria that would define what a block party would be with things like amplified sound. I think historically there's been a request to have people submit like a notification and like Anna Padilla actually is our special events supervisor. She's amazing. And if you're going to have a party like that and there's something that would trigger a block party or a special event, feel free to check in with her, because she's hip on all the municipal code and can let you know if it's something that sounds like it would trigger, more than just a notification. If it's something that's just a get together that's not, doesn't even qualify, she can give you that reassurance.
So in some other, areas of the city, there are people who actually bring in water slides, and I mean, it's on a person's lawn, but it literally is in the block. They don't close down the block, but they set themselves up along the sidewalks and invite all the neighbors, kind of as a courtesy, but and have a lot of friends. It's hard to tell if the whole block is going to show up if you just invite your neighbors. Would code enforcement go out if somebody complained and do something to enforce that?
I think if probably if notified, I think the block parties generally they consist of road closure also. So you would be, it'd be affecting people's ability to get in and out of their driveways. I mean, and generally, I think if it was something like that, it would probably be after hours, right? Because code enforcement basically is between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. So you would probably be notifying PD instead.
I see. Okay. All right. That's enough of my questions. I'll open it up for public comment. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
If you'd like to provide comment on this item, please raise your hand at this time. Our first speaker is Alfred Melbourne. Mr. Melbourne?
Greetings, Madam Mayor, City Council members. I just have a brief comment. I am the director of a nonprofit organization in West Sacramento. We started hosting events since our foundation to continue to raise awareness in our community and support our community. I just hope that I did hear some verbiage of subsidizing some of these fees, and I just hope that it's being considered by City Council and those folks that are putting forward these reports that undue burden of excessive fees and time constraints where we have to put in these applications so that it doesn't make it harder. As I've mentioned in times past that, Broderick and Bright has been an underserved community, lacking services. There's some streets that don't even have sidewalks. So in pointing it out, I'm saying that let's not create any more undue burdens upon communities of interest and those communities that have less access to resources, funding, and these more established kind of like organizers and folks. But I just think that the folks like this are being considered. Thank you.
We have no additional hands raised.
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry, Vanessa Castro, if you'd still like to make your comment, raise your hand. She raised her hand right as I was speaking. Here we go. Ms. Castro?
Hey there. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, hi. I just wanted to compliment, because I'm a commissioner on Park and Recreation, so I just wanted to compliment the director and the recreation manager in business, because they put a lot of work and time and effort into all these requests that they make to City Council, and I just wanted to tip my hat off to them, and that's it.
We have no additional hands raised.
All right, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you to the staffer. I agree. You guys are amazing. So thank you so much. I really commend all the hard work you've done. The community is so much better and much happier. I get a lot of compliments. I even had a youth at the home run program who tugged my shoulder. He says, are you the one who got more of those athletic activities, after school? To know it's the staff. I'm very supportive, but it's the staff. Because I just want to say thank you. I almost cried. These kids are really touched and feeling like they're supported, and it just means a lot. So thank you for what you're doing out there. I know the special event from inside, I've also heard from Holy Cross about the cost. I think it's a good idea to take a look at how we can do some fundraising for them, bring in sponsorships. So, whoever's out there, I'd like to be able to partner because, these costs, we do need to have a law enforcement nowadays, unfortunately, with situations. I mean, at the Dia de los Muertos, we didn't have law enforcement covering things, and we had a shooting. I think people feel better when you have police present, and when you have some sense of public safety protecting you. So in events like this, we do want to maintain that. We do want to preserve that. All the resources in place for these big public events, and let's see what we can all do, to chip in and provide that support for our community events like Alfred Melbourne's Three Sisters Garden was gorgeous last hot but gorgeous last Saturday. So as we continue to support them, the city staff have done a great job in accomplishing all of that. Council Member Ledesma, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, just a quick question, but a statement first. Again, Aaron and Tracy, thanks for all your work on this. This has been, I know, a lot of work and time. effort in the making to state that we're sort of catching back up sort of as we become more and more attractive place to have events. And that's the kind of statement comment. I know that on the benchmarking grid that you provided, that shows a sliding scale that Sacramento has, right? In terms of events larger than 3,000, and we're at, I think, 500. And so I'm supportive of the recommendation as is. I'm just also cautioning council and staff to kind of keep an eye on this, because frankly, we're getting more popular. And our side of the river is very attractive, and we want it to be. But, you know, again, I know we charge for services of public works, for park staff, for police, everything else we charge out for that. But I just want to make sure we are mindful of we're just, as in my mind, more attractive for activity on our riverfront and in parts of our city, but particularly on the waterfront, because that we do share that with Sacramento, as one of my colleagues brought up earlier. Maybe Pride can be joined with them next year, but again, they're on different pay scales. So I just want to make sure we are keeping an eye on it going forward, so as we get more popular. So with that, I will, that's my motion. I'm supportive. Thank you. And I'll move the recommended action.
Thank you, Councilmember Ledesma. And also, yes, just to continue, just wanted to say that, you know, we have had a number of activities, including Ironman, where unfortunately the bomb cyclone came in and disrupted everything, but it's coming back again. And just, you know, the utilization of all of our local resources has, as you know, Councilmember Ledesma, you know, I know that you have limited staff to do the work, and I am conscientious that, you know, we do need to give you the funding to expand, to accommodate all this growth and demand that we're foreseeing here in West Sacramento. So I'm supportive of that as you look to the future. And with that, I'll accept a second.
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have Councilmember Ledesma who moved, and Councilmember Alcala seconded. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Alcala.
Aye.
Councilmember Ledesma.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Orozco.
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero.
Aye. All right, we have 4-0, one is absent, one member is absent. And next, we'll move to agenda item 18 under City Manager is consideration of proposed organizational modifications and related personnel actions, update to existing job classification descriptions, and updates to publicly available pay scale and authorized positions list for fiscal year 2021 to 2022 and 2022 to 2023. And I see Amanda Berlin, our Assistant City Manager, ready to present.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you tonight is consideration of a proposed organizational changes and related personnel actions. Normally, an item such as this would be placed on the consent agenda for approval, but due to this item containing salary and benefit changes for an executive management position, as a result of the reorganization of the IT division, the Brown Act requires an oral report summarizing the recommended changes prior to the council taking action on the item. So per this requirement, staff recommends approval of the modifications to the title and job classification description for Deputy City Manager, Chief Innovation Officer to Deputy City Manager / Director of Innovation and Technology, which includes an increase in monthly salary range. In addition to this, the item recommends approval of other modifications, including modifications to the title and job description for the Director of Finance and Technology to the Director of Finance, amended benefit summaries for the police and fire recruits, and approval of the updated classification plan and APL for fiscal years 21-22 and 22-23. This concludes my presentation, but I'm available for questions.
Are there any questions among the council members? Nope. Okay, I'll open it up for public comment. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
Anyone would like to provide comment on this item, please raise your hand at this time. I see no hands raised.
All right, close the public comment, bring it back to the council. Are there, Councilmember Ledesma?
Thank you. No, just I fully support this and appreciate city management team and our city manager Aaron Laurel for the kind of the change that's being proposed here, and that having a director of innovation is commensurate with what's happening across the country and cities and local governments as we look to kind of keep pace and finding good talent and those that are focused on innovative solutions with the emergence of open data and everything else that we're trying to do in the city. I think this is and really well-run IT divisions. This is the right step. So with that, I'll move the recommended action.
Thank you. Okay, we're taking comment from the council members right now, and then we'll continue with the any other comments or questions? All right. I do want to say, I do think this makes sense, separating the two. And the recommendation for filling in the positions are appropriate, what I see. So I think this was all a good strategy, and looking forward to seeing, the benefit of this as we move forward. As Councilmember Ledesma pointed out, IT is definitely growing, and there's a lot more that we need to be doing across the board in all of our departments. And finance is definitely a huge component, making sure that we can get everything done in the city. So our finance department's been doing a great job, and also support the additional recommendations for safety, our first responders. So just thank you for all the hard work you put into that among the staff to get this all accomplished. I can't imagine this was easy. So with that, Madam Clerk, I think Councilmember Ledesma moved and Councilmember Orozco seconded. If there's no other comments or questions, we will ask for the roll.
Councilmember Alcala?
Aye.
Councilmember Ledesma?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Orozco?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. All right. This is 4-0. One council member is absent. Next is our administrative function. Part 2 is our council communications from our assignments. Are there any communications among council members? Councilmember Alcala.
Very quick. I attended the Yolo Solano Air Quality Management District meeting on June 8th, and I will give a very, very, very quick summary of that meeting. At this meeting, the board took the following actions: continues to authorize the remote teleconference meetings of the YSA QMD Board of Directors pursuant to Assembly Bill 361. It was approved. We also approved the consent calendar as presented. We approved the funding of the CalPERS Pension 115 Trust. We approved the fiscal year 22-23 proposed budget, and we approved the CAF funding recommendations. And that is all.
Councilmember Ledesma?
Yeah, just a quick update on June. Scroll back up, June 2nd, just a couple weeks ago was a meeting of the Transportation Committee of SACOG. Just a bunch of consent items were passed, approving previously established policies on feasibility studies for bridges, good repair funds. I won't go through them all, but there was one action regarding the bike share program with Lime that was established with SACOG and the city of Davis. Also some updates from the staff on a few other issues, namely the 2024 Blueprint Transportation Investment Nominations, something we should keep an eye on. And then also there was an agenda item around the proposed Citizens Transportation Tax Initiative in Sac County. I know, Mayor, you had brought that up, but that was something that we've both been aware of as part of SACOG. There was no update on that meeting. I think there's still, as you're probably aware, and I think you have SACOG tomorrow, that's still being worked through. But that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ledesma. Councilmember Orozco, the updates?
I do have updates. However, I'm in Mexico currently, and they are in my handwritten notes in West Sacramento. So with the permission of the chair, we'll go ahead and give that report at the next meeting.
Sounds good, Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Orozco. And yes, Councilmember Ledesma, just to give you an update, there has been an agreement on that transportation ballot initiative, and that will be taken up in tomorrow's SACOG board meeting. The agreement is that an agreement, which is what we're hoping that the parties, the Sacramento County and the proponents of the ballot measure. And we've been called to meetings over the last week. I unfortunately had a lot of conflicts, but was kept apprised and in communication with the parties to make sure that, and also stayed in touch with Mayor Steinberg as it relates to this particular item. So I think for the most part, everybody was in lockstep, trying to reach an agreement. All parties can work collaboratively as this ballot initiative moves forward. In addition to that, on June 4th, I know I saw some of you at the River City High School graduation at Sutter Health Park, which was very nice to attend that. After that, I jettisoned out to the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Reno, attended many of the sessions, but one in particular is the one that our past mayor was a participant of, U.S. Conference of Mayors and CEOs, homelessness and housing policy, who is staffed with our lobbyist, Holland and Knight, who's also our lobbyist for many of the other cities. They convened the meeting with HUD Secretary of HUD, Marcia Fudge. She was also a speaker at the luncheon, and then she met with us in a very personal meeting with the CEOs and other mayors. And Mayor Schaaf is the chair of this group, and she did a great job in allowing all of us to share information about the successes. And I spoke about Project Home Key and the success of that program, but also the challenges that we are facing with homelessness here in West Sacramento and some of the solutions. And one of the solutions that I presented, a resolution, is the passage of a congressional bill, which would allow for Institute for Mental Disease to get Medi-Cal reimbursement beyond the 16-bed cap. We have individuals that we know have severe mental illness, and as the governor is pursuing the care support model in the state legislature, we do need those particular beds to allow us to draw down federal funding. And once individuals are stabilized, that continuity of care can transition out back into the community. We don't want to keep them there for a long period of time, but you do need to stabilize them. It's better and much less expensive than hospitalization. I think the care is much better than a hospitalization. Sometimes you do need that for 150s and other individuals who are at risk of harm or harming others, but people who really just need to be stabilized, that and board and care. So those are the things that I brought to the attention, that we do need additional mental health support, and also for families. We do need additional support of housing for families. So we will continue discussions with the U.S. mayors and CEOs as we move forward. And I think it's a very productive conversation. The Secretary, Marcia Fudge, is also a former mayor. So she really, I think the benefit of being, in this group is that she really understands that mayors do the work of making things happen and implement initiatives much quicker and effectively. So just wanted to share that with you. And also we had a meeting of the City School 2x2 Committee on June 6th, and we had 1 hour meeting where we talked about the youth transportation of VIA from the Bright Broderick area to the Recreation Center for access to the pool. We also talked about the city's drought policy and the impact that would have on school facilities. And also the city's summer program discussion. That was a very lengthy discussion. And that on some of these, we talked about initiatives to work with the school district to educate the families and students about these resources that they can access to address some of these issues. We touched on West Sacramento PD's involvement on school safety, given the recent event that we've heard in Texas. And we are hearing from parents who are scared and teachers who are very scared about the potential incident that happened in Uvalde. And so we want to be able to see the school secure and safe, but we also want to make sure we're cognizant of the mental health and the stress and the anxiety. This is how this is affecting people just on a regular basis and provide the support that they need. So the superintendent is working on that, and we're going to continue the discussion in the 2x2s. So with that, we, I believe, are still receiving applications for vacancies for the commission's one Board of Appeals. We have not received any applications for that. So I think what I will do is look at some of the applicants and ask if they're interested in that. And then we have 2 vacancies in the Arts, Culture, and Historic Preservation Commission. And I mentioned at our last meeting that I was interested in appointing John Archuleta. I haven't heard anything back from anybody about that. So I would like to make that appointment tonight. We did receive the applications earlier today, but I will leave the other one open for further review among the council members. So I would like to appoint John Archuleta to the Arts, Culture, and Historic Preservation Commission.
I would second that, Mayor. Do we need to?
It would be nice to take a vote. I mean,
Yeah, we have to take a vote, I think, so.
You do compromise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so Councilmember Alcala moved and Councilmember Ledesma seconded.
Well, I haven't, but I will. Yeah, that's a second.
All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Alcala.
Aye.
Councilmember Ledesma.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Orozco.
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero.
Aye. All right, thank you. And with that, if we can take a look at the remaining vacancies from the applications we received. And I want to thank the staff for packaging that. If we can resend those as we receive more applications and to circulate for the council members to review. Next is our council calendar.
Good evening. Just a couple of things between now and our next meeting. On June 16th, there's both the police cadet graduation at Sac Memorial Auditorium and the Fire Academy graduation at the Crest Theater, and those are both at 6 o'clock. That's all.
Amanda, I'm sorry, the police cadet is when?
Thursday, June 16th.
Are they both at the same time?
Yeah, they're both at the same time, same day, 2 different locations. One's at the Crest, one's at the Memorial Auditorium. So at least they're within a couple of blocks of each other.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Mayor, I have a question. I'm sorry. I have that listed for July 1st. Is that a different one? Oh, you know what? That's the police youth.
That's the Youth Academy graduation.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That'll be at City Hall.
All right. Thank you.
All right. City manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to reiterate that what the city clerk announced earlier, just a reminder to everyone that July 20th will be our first meeting in person. Although I think it's kind of goes without saying the significance of that date is pretty monumental, given that it's been, I think, March 18th of 2020 was the last time we were in the council chambers. 3 of you were there the entire time. We've been on Zoom. I know Councilmember Alcala has been with us for about 18 months now, and just want to, thank everyone for working through this time, the public included. It's been unprecedented and difficult, but the city moved forward and we ran effective meetings. And but I'm sure I'm not alone there in saying this, that I'm very much looking forward to getting back in person with council and staff. And so we'll do that on July 20th at our next meeting. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. City attorney report.
Nothing to report.
All right, thank you. And I don't see any future agenda item requests attached. So with that, I'll accept.
Madam
yes.
Mayor, just one note on related to the July 20th. I found out today I need to be out of town on the 20th. So as much as I'd love to see everybody in person, including the city manager, and how excited he is, I will not be there at that.
That is unfortunate. Councilmember,
Yeah,
that doesn't our photo together.
I know. Sorry about that.
Can I bring somebody back up on that? City manager? Okay,
yeah, I'm sorry. I was aware of this.
I'll ask Brad Pitt to come up and do a stand-in for me. How's that?
I don't know if we can make that happen, but we can definitely follow up the next meeting to do the group photo.
Sorry about that.
But we are planning to have the individual council. If you'd like a photo taken, we will have that option available on the 20th. we'll have to do the group photo at another time though. So
Councilmember Ledesma, is it a vacation or what? I'm not trying to grill you. I'm trying to figure something out.
What's that?
Is it vacation? Is it like, or is it
No, it's business.
business? I just wanted to ask the city manager, did you want to put it out one more week to see if, so we can all be present for one more? I mean, don't give me that look.
you mean on Zoom? No, not really. I think, you know, the main issue there is just the photo. We can have the photo taken. Either we have events coming up too. There may be an opportunity to do it outside.
Okay.
We'll
All
definitely
right.
get that done.
We'll move forward. We're moving forward.
The only other reason I say that is we've also directed commissions and staff of commissions and the school district is really wanting to get back into the chambers as well. So
I won't switch gears.
Okay. I'll turn off my camera now. Thank you.
I tried, Councilmember Ledesma.
All right.
All right. With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Alcala?
Aye.
Councilmember Ledesma?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Orozco?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Have a good vacation, Aaron.
Thank you.